Hey, it's Dave here, and this is the final video in our little mini-series on the topic of bloating. In this video, we're actually going to talk about how a lack of good bugs specifically can actually contribute to bloating. It's a fairly simple dynamic, and it just runs along the same theme as we've discussed in the previous videos. And that is, if the friendly microbes become depleted, either in their diversity or in their actual quantity or numbers, then we can have an invasion by bad bugs, and that can lead to a whole bunch of gas production through fermentation and a whole bunch of bloating and other symptoms that go along with that. And that's pretty obvious. It's fairly well established that that can happen in the scientific literature. The problem is, why does it happen? And do any of these causes that I'm going to just list here and just discuss very briefly resonate with you as to a potential reason why you might have had what we might call a microbiome deficiency that then led to an invasion with bad bugs that then led to a whole bunch of bloating symptoms? So why can or why do the bad bugs either decline in numbers or decline in terms of their diversity, species diversity? And there are a number of reasons. I said in the last video that we have to tie in diet with the bugs at all times, because one of the main reasons why the bugs become depleted in people these days is because they're not eating enough of the food substances that the microbiome thrives on. And these are typically prebiotic fibers. Prebiotic meaning that the biota, the microbes in the digestive system, need these substances in order to take a foothold in your digestive system and thrive there. So if you don't eat enough fiber-rich foods, you're eating too many processed foods, eating on the go, not taking care to really make healthy food choices, over time, that can really cause a problem in terms of your good bug balance. In my experience, many of the people who come to us have actually had other issues in their lives that have led to an imbalanced microbiome. Early in life, we can have a whole raft and range of different things happen to us when we're not able to make our own choices. You know, when we're infants, even the way we're born, we can actually have a lot of things happen to us that disrupt the microbiome. One of the ones that's been fairly well reported in the scientific literature is being born through cesarean section. So normally, of course, the normal birth down the mother's vaginal canal, down the birth canal, swathes the face of the baby in the bacteria in the vaginal canal. And that bacterial population enters the baby as it's being born. That's a completely different proposition to having mum's tummy cut open and then just being lifted out. You don't get that swathing in the vaginal microbiome. And they've shown that that can create changes in the way that the microbiome develops in the infant and the toddler and through even to adulthood. So that's one factor that's worth considering. Did you have a cesarean section, or were you born via a cesarean section, should I say? Early in life, you can also have infections, and you can take a ton of antibiotics. You know, some poor kids have had lots of infections as toddlers, or even before then as infants, and even in teenage years and things like that, for example, where they might have acne and other conditions where antibiotics are used quite indiscriminately to treat that condition. And antibiotics, as we know, whenever you take them, can actually disrupt the microbiome as well as killing the target organisms. The microbiome can take a big hit from those antibiotic treatments, particularly if there's one after the other, if there's a lot of antibiotic treatments going on in a person's life. So that's very, very important. Now, if you combine all of that with a really poor diet as well, because mum and dad are really not sure how to feed their kids, they've never been taught how to feed their kids at school, etc., then you can add different factors on top of one another, and they can multiply and lead to significant changes and problems in the digestive tract. Stress is another big factor in altering the microbiome. This is a huge area of interest to me because I have seen dramatic improvements in people's digestive function when I have worked with them on emotional stress issues. Nothing to do with diet, nothing to do with functional medicine in terms of supplementation, stool testing, anything like that, but literally getting very rapid results when people have changes in their psychology. And the research also backs this up, although there isn't that much of it just yet. There are studies showing that you can pretty much change the microbiome almost instantaneously by putting rats and mice into stressful social situations. And so I think this is a really exciting area of research. If we can help people overcome stressful scenarios in their life, or trauma, or grieving, or whatever it might be, relationship problems, etc., then we have a new tool to regulate the microbiome. I'm going to talk about some case histories and case studies in that regard in other videos. And in one particular case study, I'll talk about how I literally overcame a food poisoning instantaneously by doing some work on some associations in my psychology from childhood, which was a profound experience. What else can damage the microbiome? Well, we have a bunch of toxins. There are environmental toxins that we are consuming that are entering our bodies. Some of these may include chlorine, for example. Chlorine, very interesting one. It's put in our water supply to try and kill off the bad bugs. So that gives us a clue that if it's powerful enough to clean our water, if we're drinking a load of water that contains chlorine, surely there's going to be some effect on the microbiome as well, because after all, the chlorine is there to try and kill bugs. So that's a controversial area, and it's worth considering. We try to avoid chlorinated water as much as we possibly can in our household. Pesticide residues in foods and things like that, even additives and chemicals that are added to food to increase flavor and longevity and shelf life of the food, there's some indication that those substances can also impact the microbiome as well. And so I think we've got to really look at taking care of our lifestyle in general, whatever digestive symptom we're dealing with. And again, you might find that it's not just one of these factors on its own that causes the problem, that depletes the friendly bacteria. It might be a whole bunch of different factors all piled up over time that ultimately lead to the imbalances that then lead to the symptoms. And so anytime we reduce the good bugs, whatever the cause may be, what we do, of course, is increase the risk of bad bugs getting in and overgrowing. They ferment your food and they create the bloating. We've already been through that. They also create toxins, predominantly in the form of lipopolysaccharides, and also gases as well, like hydrogen sulfide, for example, and they can really irritate the digestive system. They can cause inflammation. So as well as just fermentation of foods and bloating, we can have inflammation, and the inflammation can cause the abdominal muscles to shut down, and everything then hangs out as if the tide's rolling in, shall we say. And so the factors that we have to consider are really all of these. Somebody's health history and the history, the progression of the symptoms, how the symptoms came along and how they've developed, can give lots of clues as to what's going on. But really the only way to find out on an individual basis exactly what's going on is to run different types of lab testing to find out what the balance or imbalance is in any given individual. And then you can fine-tune and laser target the treatment plan to make sure that that person has the best chance of getting well. Now, in terms of those tests, I'm going to talk about those in a series of videos in a different segment of the website, and so stay tuned for those. But I think you'll be interested to learn how you can figure all of this out for yourself, because some of the things that we do with our clients are not well known in the medical system, and my job is to just introduce you to those so that you know they're available, and if you'd like to choose to do some of them to help you accelerate your progress and get well again, then that would be fantastic. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick video series on bloating that we've done. If you have any questions at all, of course, please don't hesitate to contact us, and look out for the videos that we've done on the lab testing procedures as well, so that you can quickly find out why you might not be feeling great and hopefully get better soon. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.